This is Rose McConnell with Pertaining to Rose, and of course, this is Dr. Bill Bernstein. Sorry.
No, it's good.
You can go on his website at williambernstein.com, and he also has a YouTube channel, and that's William M. Bernstein.
Yeah.
So definitely check him out, especially on his channel and his website. And the little app that I'm wearing, you want to go to my previous show to watch that one. It explains about the app. He's going to actually try this app out on me while I'm telling him about my dreams. So we just kind of wanted to take a look at it and see what this special app does. You want to see it?
Dr. Bernstein with Rose McConnell, and today we're going to talk about dreams. You know, dreams have been thought of for centuries. You know, David in the Bible interpreted the dreams of the king, and certainly the modern era of dream interpretation started with Sigmund Freud, who wrote his famous book, The Interpretation of Dreams, in 1900, and that was the basis of psychoanalysis. And in psychoanalysis, we want to use dreams to tell us about someone's unconscious. And why are dreams so useful? Well, because when we're awake, we try to ego defenses defend us against thoughts or ideas we might not want to think about that are repressed, you know, when we're awake. But when you go to sleep, the repression lifts and the unconscious is. And so in doing dream interpretation, there are a couple of rules that we follow. First is, you probably know from your own experience that if something happens to you in the day, you often appears in your dream at night. That's called the day residue, right? And the process of dreaming is, in effect, to try to file the experience that you had during the day. And so your mind is the filing system, and the event is the thing that needs to be filed. And one has more or less difficulty doing that depending on how inconsistent or conflictual the event is with your memory or your unconscious. And so we ask the person what in the day seemed to appear in the dream and what they make of the various actions and people in the dream. And then we try to make an interpretation. So we'll try to do kind of dream interpretation with Rose to give an example. You can watch the two videos that Rose and I did about this machine, which measures aspects of your autonomic nervous system, the part of your nervous system that's not usually conscious, that runs your organs and that kind of thing. And Freud's basic point was the relationship between your unconscious and your conscious, your neocortex, in which you have conscious thoughts and make conscious intentions. The conflict between those systems, the ego and your unconscious, is useful to explore to aid personal development. So the reason to use this with a dreamer, in this case Rose, is to see if some changes occur in her body that she may not be aware of that would be stimulated by the dream. So we're going to hook her up here. And I'll just keep this, and I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll inform you and the audience if I notice anything. So I want you to think of the dream that you'd like, and I'll ask you some questions and we'll talk about it.
Okay, well,
ready? Go.
Let's discuss that childhood dream that I told you before about. As a child, we had a dog that was a golden retriever, and when it would go into heat, we had a neighbor's dog from somewhere off, some farm or something, would come to our house and would growl and bark and try and get in the windows. And he was quite large, like a St. Bernard or something. He was pretty big, so he had a huge head. And as a child, it really scared me. So I had recurring dreams.
So just a second,
about
when she
the
said
same
that,
thing.
she went into the red, which is a state of the relationship between what you were talking about and your body. So she was scared.
Yeah, no, I had dreams for 20 some years about wolves and dogs trying to get in through the windows of my house.
Yeah, that's not nothing.
And that was very scary to me. But it took 20 years for me to work my way out of this dream. Like, it was a very recurring dream. I've had it several times a year. So what do you think about that dream?
You had related this to me before. Did you do something to make it stop?
I don't think so.
Just
I
went
don't.
away.
Yeah, it just kind of like went away on its own. Maybe that part of my life, calmed down.
You had it for between what ages?
Probably between the age of 5 or 6 to about 28, 29.
Wow. About twice a year or something?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times a year.
So repeated dreams are very interesting because, dreams function to, as Shakespeare said, sleep knits the raveled sleeve of care. That every day your brain needs to be maintained like a computer at night. The old mainframes used to take down the computers at night to clean out the memory and stuff. So repeated dreams suggest that there's some conflict that has not been resolved. Now, you apparently resolved it after 10 years or was it
20 some
20
years, yeah.
Now, most of us have repeated dreams. So clearly in this case, the day residue, the day's events, at least 20 years ago, involved an actual experience you had with the dog on your window.
Yeah, it was a very weird dream.
And when you were awake with this dog at the window, you were frightened?
Oh yeah, it would wake me up. The dream would wake me up because it was like sometimes I dreamt there was many dogs and many like wolves trying to come through the windows at me.
So interestingly, initial thought of it is red and non-alignment with the conscious and the unconscious. I don't know if you can see
It's
that.
kind of hard to see with the light.
But when she was talking about it, making sense of it, she got into the fact that it stopped meant that whatever the conflict was, I mean, on the surface, it was a conflict of having a dog, attacking a safe place that you were in your bedroom, was it?
No, and it happened in my living room. But that's where, before the dream ever started, is where this dog would come up to our house all the time. So that part was a real fact. My dog would go and eat. This other very large dog would come to the window, and I started having dreams from it.
How many times did the dog come to your window in reality?
Oh, I don't know. 10 or 15 times, I'm not sure.
In the beginning,
I was young,
in the
so
20
I don't remember.
years, he wasn't around.
No. I'd done grown up and moved out, had my own kids.
So that's clearly something that got into a dream that Rose had to work on for a long time. And eventually, by definition, I say she had to have solved the problem that was inherent in the dream. Being afraid in the daytime, we're going to think about that because fear is an indication of threat, that, of injury or death, really. And so we're programmed to make sure we understand that. For example, I've had dreams where, dreams is associated with something called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, and we know animals have those dreams. And you can actually, with rats, you can put them in a maze in which they learn to find food, and at night, in their hippocampus, which is underneath your cortex of your brain, if you prevent the rats from sleeping or you cut off the hypothalamus, they don't remember the next day how to get through the maze. So in other words, they repeat what happened to them in the day to consolidate the learning about how to run the maze. And that's certainly true about people. And I think animals dream about places that there's prey, animals to eat, and where there are other members of the species they want to mate with. So dreaming in our mind is very much it's a map of what happens. And if you interrupt the consolidation process, there's memory loss. So
I do have another dream that I did just remember that would be a good one. Okay, now, this was probably in my early 30s that I had this dream, but I dreamt I was sleeping, and my room was very, very dark. but I heard something, and in my dream, I opened my eyes, and all I saw was the barrel of a gun, like a handgun, at my pointed to my forehead, and then I heard the boom of a gun going off, and I instantly woke up. But my life took dramatic changes after I had that dream. So I kind of felt like it was the death of something in my life, but I don't know if that's what it actually meant or if it was something weird and prophetic or.
Do you care to talk about what changed in your life? I mean, you don't have to. You don't want to make it too.
Well,
personal.
no.
Generally, you can.
Yeah, I went through a divorce and I moved on, and my life dramatically changed, and I started doing positive affirmations and goals. And that's when
it got better.
Yeah, that's when I really started journaling and started trying to find changes in my life.
So when she talks about this, her alignment between her conscious and her unconscious increases, as indicated by this. It's called a body mind reader, which is a phone app. So now you say in the dream you were asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're in the dream sleeping, and a gun is pointed at you.
Yeah, I heard a noise that made me open my eyes, and I saw the barrel of the gun. Yes.
So in the dream, you wake up, you see the gun gets shot. Did you feel anything from that?
It was like my entire body was totally, like I was motionless, like I could not move. Like I just literally laid there, like, if you ever wonder, okay, am I alive or am I dead? Did that really happen? It was so realistic that I literally woke myself up out of the dream, but I still didn't move because I was worried about moving. Like I thought, if I really was shot, I don't want to be moving around.
That was your thought. Were you afraid at that point?
I don't know.
Let me tell you, this brings up a very interesting point. That when you're in REM sleep, you're paralyzed.
That's how I felt, like I was paralyzed.
Yeah, and so often, the sleep stages don't have sometimes the boundaries between second stage sleep and REM sleep and delta sleep. Delta sleep is the deepest sleep where you get, recovery for your body. But REM sleep, where your REM begins rapid eye movement underneath your closed eyes, if you wake someone up, or if you can measure the fact that your eyes are going like this. And that's when most vivid dreams occur. And REM is a very active state physiologically. Delta sleep is, sort of a torporous hibernation kind of sleep. But REM sleep is very active. Your heart would beat like it would in this dream.
Right.
And this has happened maybe to all of us. It's happened to me, waking up and being paralyzed. And so that's a physiological thing.
Yeah, I really felt like I couldn't move.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. And I kind of felt like I woke up kind of like in shock. Because, and I think in my mind, I thought it really happened.
Right.
It took me a few minutes to really, to wake up and, move around to okay, my arms can move, kind of like move my feet. It took me a few minutes to really do that because I was really in shock. I think I was in a total state of shock at that point.
That's quite a dream. So this paralysis is functional because when you're having these kind of dreams, you don't want the person waking up, sleepwalking in effect. So it protects you. Mm-hmm. And if you don't understand it, it can be scary. Am I paralyzed? But it's only temporary. It's REM sleep, this paralysis is related to animals who use a playing dead strategy, such as opossums and I don't know, when I was a kid.
Snakes sometimes. Snakes
That's
sometimes.
Right. Lizards. It's your lizard brain. And so this is an evolutionary remnant of a strategy to play dead to avoid predation. When I was a kid, I used to have a possum in my backyard. Mm-hmm. And, somewhat cruelly, I used to try to... He was frozen, and I would try to make a move. And they don't move. I mean, for that strategy to work, you have to stick with it. And, you can poke them, and they will not move. And just like you were saying, it took a while to recover and start moving. These play dead defense animals, they don't get out of it right away. They slowly emerge from the paralysis.
So the dream part, what do you think? Was that like a drastic change in my life?
Well,
was it?
let's go back to the day residue part. Do you remember anything in your life that was happening before that dream?
Well, it was hectic. I was working 2 jobs and raising my kids, and yeah,
And you were working for a detective agency,
I was.
and that's where they have guns.
Well, at that time, I wasn't an armed guard. I was an unarmed guard, and I also worked at a local pizza shop up home. So I had 2 jobs going on at the same time.
But your colleagues, the detectives, probably had guns. Right?
Oh yeah, a lot of them had guns.
So you would
I
have-
didn't at that
But
time.
you would have seen them and, thought about
Right.
them maybe every day. I mean, if somebody, I don't know if they displayed them, but certainly you were in an environment where there were guns.
Well, at that point, I think I was mostly basically working at like places where you would take care of the trucks, inbound and outbound trucks, stuff like that as a security guard. So we would, write down the logging information, the truck information, check
Mhm.
the trailers, stuff like that.
So
So
security
at
was,
that point, I was doing regular security. That was before I did armed work.
so security, as a job that's called security, but all of us want security, whether
Right.
we're in the police force or not.
Yeah, I
mean,
did that most
So
of
your
my life.
security, you must have felt in that environment, you may not be conscious of it, that your security was an issue. I mean, in the dream, someone's threatening to kill you.
Oh, that could have been, and I never realized that.
That's why you're coming to me.
Yeah.
But now, just when you thought of that, you became alive.
Right,
So
too much
I think
more.
that's a pretty good lesson about dreams with the live example of
Yeah.
Rose. And also have a plug for the device, which you can use in dream interpretation, like I did with patients. And it mirrored logically your remembrance of fear, and then your resolution of it.
Right.
You got in alignment. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And the wristband, which it has the hardware attached to it, that you can get on williambernstein.com. You can go to his video or his website, and you have to go down to where it says how to build. Once you get to that, you can click on it, and it takes you right to where you can order this. And the app you can get for free on the Apple Store.
Right. So this is today's October 1st,
Yes.
and the device will be coming out very shortly. Today it's not available, but it will be shortly. So you have to get the software and the app. Soon we're going to make it a little easier to purchase.
Right. But I want to thank you guys. I love you all. I want to thank you, William Bernstein, for being on my show.
Always
I
a pleasure.
appreciate it. I might have more coming up with him. I got some stuff here. We also want to do a show eventually here on a couple of your books.
Yeah,
I'm
that'd be great.
reading one now, and it's quite interesting.
You can buy the books on the website, williambernstein.com,
Absolutely.
which will be great for me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I will definitely, just to let you know, he does, when you buy it from him through WilliamBernstein.com, you do, as a disclaimer, he does earn $1 or $2 from it, so just a small
It's only
amount.
fair.
Yeah, it's only fair. He invented it. But I want to thank you.
Yeah, much
Everybody have a great day. Love yous guys.
See you soon.